MASH wasn't just another TV show, it left a lasting mark on an entire generation with its perfect mix of comedy, raw emotion, and unfiltered truth. But behind the cameras, chaos, drama, and feuds you wouldn't believe. Alan Alda has finally spilled some shocking details about what really went down on set, and trust me, you've probably never heard these before. Who did Alda secretly have issues with? And what unexpected moments unfolded when the cameras weren't rolling? While MASH is celebrated as a masterful blend of humor and drama, things behind the scenes weren't always as smooth. One of the biggest sources of tension? The fiery clashes between Alan Alda, who brought Hawkeye to life, and director Jackie Cooper. Cooper, a stickler for tradition and structure, often locked horns with Alda, who thrived on improvisation and creative freedom. Alda wanted the actors to bring a natural, personal touch to their roles, while Cooper insisted on sticking to the script, word for word. Years later, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Alda opened up about these creative struggles, saying, "It wasn't about disliking each other, it was about vision. I cared deeply about making the show real. These clashes reflected a larger battle for control between creativity and structure, which occasionally spilled out into the open." Insiders from the production team recalled some tense moments, but despite the friction, Alda remained professional during filming. His relentless push for authenticity ultimately shaped the series, making the characters and their stories feel more raw, relatable, and deeply human. Cooper eventually exited the show, and while his contributions as a director were significant, many fans and critics believe it was Alda's influence that truly defined MASH. On-screen, Hawkeye and BJ's friendship seemed effortless, a bond that carried much of the show's later seasons. But off-camera, it wasn't always smooth sailing. Alan Alda and Mike Farrell, who joined in season 4, had a strong working relationship, but also a bit of a competitive streak. There was no bad blood, just two passionate actors constantly pushing each other to deliver their best performances. Farrell once revealed in an interview with the Television Academy Foundation that Alda had a clear, unwavering vision for how scenes should unfold. Alan was intensely focused, and he had very high standards, sometimes intimidatingly so, he admitted. Their creative differences led to occasional clashes, with Alda favoring spontaneous comedic improvisation, while Farrell leaned toward emotional depth. It was never personal, but their opposing styles sometimes created friction on set. Despite these moments, mutual respect always anchored their relationship. Farrell even praised Alda in the same interview, saying, "Alan worked harder than anyone I've ever met, and I really admired that." Off-screen, their playful camaraderie mirrored the chemistry of their characters, turning their friendly rivalry into fuel for some of the show's most iconic moments. Their constant push to outdo each other only elevated MASH. At its core, this behind-the-scenes tension was never about ego, it was about passion. Every disagreement, every debate was driven by a shared goal, making MASH the absolute best it could be. And looking back, both actors have recognized just how much that dedication shaped the show's lasting legacy. The cast of MASH might seem like they were born for their roles, but behind the scenes, casting wasn't always a smooth ride. Take Loretta Swit, for example, the woman who made Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan unforgettable. She almost lost the role before she even had a chance. Swit was already locked into a contract for another show, but when that series flopped, fate stepped in. Looking back, she called it a miracle of timing. "I wasn't supposed to be free, but the stars aligned." Talk about a lucky break. Larry Linville's journey to playing the stiff and uptight Major Frank Burns, however, was much more strategic. From day one, Linville knew his character wasn't meant to be loved, he was there to stir the pot. In an interview with People magazine, he described Burns as a guy you love to hate, adding that it was liberating to play someone who didn't need audience approval. "I knew going in that my job was to be the jerk, but I took it as a challenge to make Frank human, even if no one liked him." Then there was David Ogden Stiers, who arrived later in the series as Major Charles Emerson Winchester III. Stepping into an already well-established cast, no easy task. Stiers felt immense pressure taking over a role that needed to fill the void left by Linville's departure. Would fans accept him? Could he match the energy of the ensemble? The weight of those expectations was intense. In an interview with the New York Times, Stiers admitted that stepping into the cast came with major pressure, but emphasized Winchester wasn't Frank Burns, he wasn't comic relief, he had depth, intellect, and layers, and that's what made him fun to play. His portrayal added a new dynamic to the show, proving that MASH wasn't just about laughs. It had real substance. Casting wasn't always smooth sailing, but every decision played a critical role in shaping the show's magic. Each actor brought something unique, turning what could have been simple sitcom characters into layered, unforgettable personalities. It's this chemistry that made MASH resonate so deeply with audiences. After 11 groundbreaking seasons, the show had to say goodbye, but walking away from a series that had touched millions both on and off set was no easy feat. The legendary final episode, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, aired on February 28, 1983, and shattered records. Over 106 million viewers tuned in, making it the most watched television episode in American history at the time. And it wasn't just the audience feeling the weight of the moment, the cast was hit just as hard. Alan Alda, who co-wrote and directed the finale, later admitted in an interview for the Television Academy Foundation that wrapping up such an iconic chapter in their lives was an emotional roller coaster. I remember sitting in the editing room and I just couldn't stop crying, Alda confessed. We weren't just ending a show, we were saying goodbye to a family. The emotions ran deep and every actor handled the farewell in their own way. Jamie Farrar, who played Klinger, admitted in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that holding back tears during his final scenes felt impossible. It wasn't acting anymore, he said, it was personal. Loretta Swit echoed the sentiment, calling the final days on set bittersweet. We all knew it couldn't go on forever, but that didn't make leaving any easier. What made the finale so powerful wasn't just the storytelling, it was the raw, unscripted emotions of a cast and crew saying goodbye after 11 incredible years together. For viewers, it was the end of an era. For the actors, it was the conclusion of one of the most defining experiences of their lives. MASH may have been a massive critical and commercial success, but it wasn't without its fair share of behind-the-scenes clashes. One of the biggest points of tension, the show's gradual shift from comedy to serious drama, a change that sparked plenty of debate. While Alan Alda fully embraced the show's shift toward deeper, sometimes darker storytelling in later seasons, not everyone was on board. Some cast members and even longtime fans had mixed feelings about the evolving tone. One of the most notable departures was Larry Gelbart, the show's original writer and producer. He famously left after season 4, feeling creatively drained and frustrated by mounting pressures from both the network and the show's changing direction. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Gelbart was brutally honest about his exit, saying, "It wasn't an easy decision, but at some point you have to know when to move on." Cast departures often left fans wondering what really went on behind the scenes. One of the most talked about exits was that of Gary Berghoff, who brought the beloved Radar Riley to life. Berghoff left MASH in season 8, citing both personal reasons and the overwhelming physical and emotional toll of the demanding filming schedule. In a later interview with the Television Academy Foundation, he opened up about his decision, admitting, "I was burnt out, I loved Radar, but I needed to take a step back for my own well-being." Despite his departure, he remained deeply proud of his work on the show, and even made a special return for a 2-part farewell episode. These behind-the-scenes struggles were a stark reminder of the constant balancing act between creativity, personal challenges, and relentless network demands. MASH thrived on its masterful blend of comedy and drama, but keeping that delicate balance wasn't always smooth sailing, either on screen or off.